So the Meteora 20 set is a pretty big set, and fans are going to get, I don't know how else to like categorize this, so some of these items you may not have a player for, but 5 vinyl records, 4 CDs, 3 DVDs, plus like stencils and stickers and a huge book. It's basically a super comprehensive package about the album and the making of the album, all the demos that went into it, new, unreleased, never before heard songs and things like that. Hey MTV News, I'm Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, and these are my top 5 memories from the release of our album Meteora. My first favorite memory of the release of Meteora is probably the actual like release day. We had a signing, just, you know, signing people's albums at like a record store in LA. And when we got there, I think it was a 2-level place. The entire place was packed with fans. The line was out the door and around the block to the next block. When we walked in, we were like, the energy was insane. We sat down and we started signing, and management came over. They kept bringing us food and water. It was so long we had to take bathroom breaks. They came over to us at one point and they said, you guys, we're scheduled to be here till, you know, whatever time the place closes, like 10 or something. But if we do that, there's gonna be another like 1,000 people, maybe 1,500 people. Like, what do you want us to do? I kind of looked at everybody else and we kind of had a little powwow about it, and everyone, I was so happy that everybody agreed to like stay and sign until every single person had gotten their stuff signed. I felt a little bad for the people who worked there, but I think they were along for the ride because it was a really special moment. I just met somebody who said to me, I was in that line near the end and we were convinced you guys were gonna stop before we got in. And he was basically like, I can't believe that you guys signed as late as you did and I got an, like, he showed me the album cover. Insane. My next favorite memory from Meteora was starting to write the album. I remember we were on tour, we were touring Hybrid Theory, and at a certain point, we had played like 300 shows in 365 days, like 2 shows a day at some points, and the idea got floated like, you know, it's probably time to kind of start thinking about the next album. And at the time, a recording rig, like now you can do it on your phone. Back then, like the recording rig had to be like the size of a full-size refrigerator. It was enormous. In the back of our bus, our road crew basically took out all of the sofa and the table, everything. The back of the bus was flat. And then we installed this like refrigerator of computer gear and like a little desk. I spent most days of the week, before shows, after shows, back there starting to work on the record. There's something so special to the idea of like working on a song and then going and playing on stage for people and then coming back. I felt like I was still carrying that energy and that perspective, maybe like connection with the fans as I was working on these brand new songs. And then the other guys would like filter in and out and like throw an idea down or what about this, what about that? It was a really unique experience doing it. My third favorite memory is actually one that's captured in the Meteora 20 box set package. When we got into the studio to make Meteora, we were still really like, I'm gonna say immature, but also just like having fun. I don't remember how the idea of a mullet contest came up. I definitely didn't endorse it. It wasn't my idea and I didn't want to do it, but whatever happened, I think we all did it. I mean, that footage is literally in this package. Like we've all got but there's no explanation. My favorite part is there's no explanation for what the hell is going on. You just see us in the studio and all of a sudden you see like Brad with a mullet on a horse. And as if that's just normal. Other than that, I don't know how we arrived there. I don't know how long it lasted. I just see these pictures and I'm like, that was real, but it's like so confusing. It's almost like an alternate reality. And I know that it was like towards the beginning of recording that album. We're just having so much fun. Another one of my favorite memories is Collision Course with Jay-Z and MTV, and we arrived there in a really weird roundabout way. I had always joked with my friends that like I had snuck in the back door to like being a rapper because I didn't come out saying like, oh, I'm a rapper, this is my rap music. I was like part of a rock band. But my background was always producing, like I had learned to produce songs by mashing up stuff. Like I was taking like 9 Inch Nails and like Jackson 5 and like Wu-Tang Clan, and like that's how I learned to make beats. So that informed how the Collision Course thing came together. I didn't know it at the time, but I was our in-house producer. It wasn't until later, years later, when we worked with Rick Rubin, that he had said to me like, oh, what you do is actually production. And I was like, it is? After Meteor came out, after we had toured again, you know, even bigger shows and gone to places we had never been, we got a message saying MTV has reached out to Jay-Z to do a mashup album. They said, who do you want to do it with? And he said, you guys. He said, Linkin Park. Do you want to do that? And we were like, no way. I had grown up on Jay's music. Of all the guys in the band, I was probably the biggest Jay-Z fan. And so my reaction, I remember sitting with Brad, and Brad and I were kind of like the core production team. And I was like, you know what I want to do? I went into the bus and I basically put together 3 mashups immediately over the course of like a day or two. And I sent those back to John Maneely and to Jay-Z. That was our response. The question was, do you want to do it? The response was, here's 3 songs. And the response via John from Jay was, oh, like he loved it. And he knew it was a thing. And finally, my last favorite memory, there was a show, we were on a festival. And at the time, we were still proving ourselves as a band. Like, even though we were headlining shows, even though we were headlining festivals, we still approached them like, well, not everybody in the crowd is our fan. So we played our set and we headlined the main stage of this festival, and we felt like we killed it, did a great job, we loved that show. We went back in our dressing room, we were overhearing, I think it was like our production manager talking to somebody, and they were really stressed. We said, what's going on? He said, well, there's a second stage that's like a super heavy metal stage. I believe it was SLIPKNOT was supposed to headline that at like a late night set. Basically their bus had broken down, they weren't able to make their set. And so the promoter was losing it. He knew that their fans were gonna he was worried they were gonna riot, gonna tear apart the venue, because they had waited all day until now they're like drunk and tired, and the band's not going to show up. We had toured with those guys a bunch. We understood them. We kind of understood their fans. We liked them. Like, they are a very impressive band, really talented, and their fans are hardcore. So we were like, okay, we kind of powwowed and agreed that we would offer to the promoter, we'll go play a second set to just appease these fans and hopefully minimize any problems. And because it'll kind of be fun, let's see what happens. And the promoter agreed, and we go out there, and they got on the mic and they told this crowd that SLIPKNOT wasn't coming out. And the boos, I mean, you felt the boo. The boos were so loud, you could feel them in your chest, you could feel them in your body. And they announced that we were gonna come play a set instead of SLIPKNOT, and the boos were worse. And we took the stage and we got on the mic and we said, hey guys, listen, you know we've toured with them a ton. We love those guys, and it's not their fault that they couldn't be here tonight, but we didn't want you to go home almost empty-handed. So if you stick around, we promise we're gonna make it worth your while. You could feel them kind of be like, okay, what's that? And we just launched immediately into the loudest, heaviest, craziest set we could put together with our material. We played I don't know how long we played, maybe 45 minutes, an hour. We played deep cuts. I think we played a cut, a Nine Inch Nails cover or Deftones cover or something, and just went as hard as we could. We were exhausted, but within a song or two, those fans were with us. There was a lot on the line for us. I feel like we could have gotten stuff thrown at us and gotten knocked out. But we pulled it off. I was really proud of the guys. I was really proud that we'd taken a risk. And the promoter was he was indebted to us for life. A few years ago, we did a 20th anniversary of Hybrid Theory as, I think it was a little bit of an experiment. And I wasn't sure that we wanted to do a 20th anniversary of Meteora, but the question was well, let's see what we've got, and if that's worth putting out, if it's something the fans will want. And as soon as we dug into the hard drives and stuff, we immediately found so much great stuff, and we knew it was gonna be a thing. Making a second album when your first album was Hybrid Theory was I can't imagine anything tougher. When we made Hybrid Theory, I was still like sometimes like going back and staying with my parents. Like we were in college and the stakes were low. It was the best-selling album on the planet that year. So to come off of that and say, okay, let's make another album, I remember it being just like, there were multiple levels and like layers of pressure and complexity, that you wanna do something that is commercially successful, that the fans like, you wanna do something that's artistically challenging, that you love and you feel you pushed yourself and you made something great that's references like what people expect enough, but also pushes the envelope and does something new and interesting enough. And then to make matters worse, there was this rumor that had gone around, it started in England, and the rumor was that we were a manufactured like industry plant, that we were a boy band, that the label had configured and we didn't even know each other and we didn't write our songs. So we also had to like almost like address that, and we started for the first time like filming everything. Like we were filming stuff on the road, we were filming stuff in the studio to really show, like, for better or worse, like we make this stuff, to like basically show that we could do it again, and then we had the artistic vision to take it to another level. I think you hear it on songs like Breaking the Habit, and Nobody's Listening, and Session. Session was an instrumental song, for example, that we got a Grammy nomination for. Breaking the Habit ended up being a single. There's no screaming, there's no heavy guitars. It's mostly programmed track and live strings. You know, that's definitely at the time, like no one expected us to go there, and it set us up to be able to do more things in our career later on. For people that do check out the Meteora 20 physical box set, like it's a gorgeous piece of work. Just really proud of it, and I think it captures a lot of the old photos and the culture of what was going on with the band back then.